All right, there's 10 people. Should we
Okay.
introduce ourselves? Wait,
I
right.
think an introduction would be appropriate.
All right, I can start. Hi, I'm Leo. I'm a sophomore at MICA. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a painting major and photo minor. Dhanviee, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go next. Hi, I'm Dhanviee. I use she, they pronouns. I'm a GFA and humanistic studies double major, and I'm also doing two minors in sound art and curatorial studies, and I'm also a sophomore.
She's busy. My name is Sen. I use they, them pronouns, and I am a sophomore game design major with a minor in animation, though I'm going to take mostly just 3D animation classes to fulfill that.
Cool. So I
Yeah.
think starting off just talking about the topic of how we adjusted to art school. How do you guys adjust to art school?
Okay, so me personally, I'm originally from Wilmington, Delaware, and I brought my car to campus the first year, and I ended up living in Leak Hall, which is one of the residence halls in Founders that's all the way in the back, and it's right next to the parking lot for Founders. So I was literally able to park right outside my building and then have and like live. It was really convenient, is what I'm saying. So all I did to adjust to college life, low key, it was to go back home every weekend and like kind of mix in like my weekdays would be on campus and then my weekend I would go back home and like I don't know. For me, that really helped me adjust to things. And then the second semester, I ended up staying on campus more and just like having kind of a gradation of time spent on campus for me is what helped me to like kind of adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about you,
Yeah.
Dhanviee?
I would say for me, I wish I could go back home every weekend. I have to take a plane for that, but I would say what helped me adjust was finding more people that were from the same place as me, but at the same time also finding people with similar interests. So just like during your orientation, just being not super annoying, but kind of annoying about your interests. You listen to them, I listen to them too. We should be friends. We should hang out, like doing stuff like that. But yeah.
That's really the friend making strategy you got to employ is just to like actively be like, we should
Yeah.
talk to each other.
Pick someone, be like, we're gonna be
Mm,
friends now.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about you, Leo?
So I went to boarding school for my last 2 years of high school, so it was kind of like a very similar thing to kind of like continue living in like a dorm and that kind of thing. But um, so yeah, adjusting in that way was really easy, but it was definitely like an upgrade. Like MICA plug, like the like freshman dorms are kind of insane. Like having um like a full fridge and like an oven freshman year, like a living room was kind of crazy. And I was super lucky with roommates and that kind of thing. And so um I don't know, MICA is small, which I think in some ways is like I think there's pros and cons of it, but one of the big pros was like I feel like it was very kind of it was easy to build community because everyone kind of knows everyone and everyone's kind of like going through it together. I feel like freshman year because everyone's kind of like we don't no one knows anyone. So I think a lot of people are trying to find friends. And so um yeah, I had a good freshman year.
Yeah.
Um
Right. Do you have other topics of discussion? I'm gonna add one more thing to like the how to adjust to your freshman year is I like for me at least, or actually, wait, what are the other topics that we have lined up? Because I kind of forget them and it might
um
be
we're
covered.
we're talking, I think we're gonna have like some photos and like stories to share about freshman year, and then we have a special guest at some point who's currently a secret.
Ooh,
Yeah. Wait, what
all
were you
right.
gonna say? I think we do have time. We have the whole hour, so
I I think we're good to move on for now.
okay.
Let's keep the ball rolling.
All right. Um, Michaela, should we just share our screens? Like, how do you want to share the photos if she is here? They're here. Cool. Um, So this is my one of my my freshman year roommate, Henry, and this was a in Founders. There are like kind of like beds that you can raise, which are really nice because you can put stuff underneath them. I think you can also, I don't know if you can do bunk beds or not. I don't think so, but
I don't
um,
think it's wise to do bunk beds and
no
founders.
bunk beds, no bunk beds. But he like we took it and we were trying to like raise it. Um, I don't know, I thought this photo was funny. And it was like kind of a mess. We figured it out, but
He's like kind of serving. He's like, it's...
yeah, he right. And so, I don't know. That was my photo. I think that was very like figuring it out, beginning of the year. Yeah. So shout out to Henry for that.
It's also like you and Henry are still really, really good friends, which is also really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I feel like we look like very similar. Like even just looking at this.
It's the
Um,
hair and the glasses for me.
it's the hair
It's
and the
like,
glasses. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah. But I don't know. It's possible to have good roommates. It does exist.
Ugh,
Mhm.
how about that? No, it is
Yeah,
possible. This year, it's possible.
mhm. We believe there's definitely a good mix of like roommate horror stories and also roommate like lifelong friendships blossoming. So
Yeah,
it
I think
depends.
for how the roommate process works, there's kind of like a way to find people right at the beginning. You kind of like type in interest. Like I think because Henry I requested because I remember I looked on there and I was like a camp counselor at the time. I was really enjoying being outside. I think his bio was like, I play like ultimate frisbee or something. I love being outside. And I was like, you, like we are gonna be roommates. And then our third roommate got like randomly assigned, and that also worked out. Jazz is great. So yeah. All right. We have
Yeah.
more photos somewhere. No.
I don't know. I really do enjoy Micah's like roommate finding system. Oh,
So
this is
soon.
Dhanviee.
Sorry, that is off-putting. But that's my roommate's cat, and we didn't really get along at first, like me and the cat, but then it just randomly came, like snuck up next to me, and I was like, oh, so we're gonna be friends today. And we became friends. And whenever my roommate forgot to feed her, I got super concerned and I used to feed her. But how I got my roommates assigned was even though I was in the pool of like, oh, just like Leo, like that process of you fill out an application and then according to your preferences, you get a roommate. I didn't really go through that because I was in a program called Creative First Year Fellows in Creative Entrepreneurship. So that's a year-long course that you have to do, and it basically is like intensive on entrepreneurial skills. And if you do choose to do that, you get a year-long dorming in League. So like they kind of give you the benefit of being in the best dorm building. And yeah, I had my roommates randomly assigned, which not a bad thing. It did not end up working out for us the best way possible, but that's also a learning curve. You learn, you live, and like this year I have amazing roommates.
Huh.
Yay.
Beautiful story. What was the
Yeah.
cat's name?
Oh, wait. Wait, no, 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 no. No,
Big
I remember.
friend.
I'm just like on the spot. Wait, I'll remember it in like 5 minutes and then
Oh
Um,
my God.
we have a question of how big are the dorms? So there's multiple dorms. I can answer. There's multiple dorms. The main one that the majority of the freshmen is called Founders Green. I think that you can Google it and like see kind of what it looks like. I'd
Yeah,
say,
the floor plans are you can find them on the
yeah.
website.
Like I don't have measurements, but I will say like oftentimes like a dorm looks like kind of one room with like two beds in it and it's kind of like smushed. But it's actually like multiple kind of rooms. You have like you walk in, there's like a living room area with like you get two couches, I think, and then you have, like I said, like you have a full fridge, you have like stove, oven, a cabinet, it's like a sink, and then there's usually like 3 to 4 people in one dorm, and you'll have your own bathroom, and then in a lot of the rooms, I think like if you have a 3-person room, 2 people will have like a shared bedroom, and then one person will have a single, and you have to pay extra to have that single. but that's still like a really good deal for like having your own bathroom and like kitchen. Um, so
Mhm.
that's like what,
I
like one, yeah, 4 rooms kind of.
mhm. I expected Micah's housing prices to be much higher considering how much nicer the dorms are. But it's literally the same as like one of my friends who lives in the classic American shoebox dorm pays more than I did for housing in freshman year. So it's still like very reasonably priced. Um, but yeah. All
Yeah.
right. We had another question about how campus safety is and like just safety around the dorms in general. Uh, one of my favorite parts about MICA is our shuttles, which uh, some of our classes end as late as like 10 p.m., which puts people off at first because immediately you're like, oh God, 10 p.m., I'm gonna walk around at night. Um, but we have shuttles that you can call just from your phone, and they'll take you from whatever building your class is in to your dorm building, like 10 p.m. And I think they end at 12 or 1 a.m. I'm not exactly sure. Do you guys know?
But it also it changes, I think, during like finals. During finals, I feel like they're like pretty much like all throughout the night and the buildings are open 24/7. I think
Mhm.
normally it might
I'm
be yeah, like one or
Mhm.
two.
Yeah, it's like 1 on weekdays and 11 on weekends.
Mhm. So the shuttles are very like nice, convenient. Um they're free for MICA students to use. So it's really just a matter of like, calling one, getting on it, and then heading over to your dorm. In general, safety around MICA campus, I really like our campus security. You'll see their cars like parked around when you're walking all the time, and like they're at the entrance to every building to like check your ID and make sure you're a MICA student walking in and not like a random person with bad intentions. So I like me personally overall, I feel like safe and secure walking around even at night because like campus safety is always around. You can call them, like they have a cell phone line that you can call from your phone if you need help. And I don't know if you guys have seen them, but like blue emergency poles, um, like that are in some cities, we have some of those around MICA campus as well. Oh, and one more thing about the shuttles is I actually live off campus this year, and they will still like take me to my off-campus apartment. Like the range isn't just MICA campus. They will go a little bit further out, not crazy.
Yeah,
But
like
yeah.
I know they can take you to like I've taken it a couple times like the Bun Shop, which is a really cute kind of local coffee shop that's open super late to do homework in. I will say though, like I think safety wise, I feel like that kind of comes up especially with Micah being at Baltimore. And I feel like it's important to acknowledge that it's like it's not like a totally unfounded thing, but I think every city can be dangerous. And so I think it's really just like a matter of like, if you're gonna be like it's just kind of general, I think like if you're out, walking like alone at night, like maybe don't have like headphones in and be like looking at your phone, or kind of like walk in groups, like have pepper spray. But that I think isn't even like that
Mhm.
specific to
That's
Micah.
for
It's
like
more like
any
a
city in
general thing, but they
ever.
definitely do
Yeah.
kind of like go over that. I think I'd say just like be um mindful of like where you are, and that kind of thing. But again, that kind of goes for everywhere. But yeah, it's not like an unfounded, like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's
Thing.
definitely dangers around campus that you want to take into account.
Yeah.
But
Dom, do you have anything to
yeah.
add on any of that?
No, it's a city. Be aware. If it's an emergency, the campus safety will also drive to you. Like if it's like you're stuck somewhere, they won't be like, no, sorry, you're calling after hours. They will come and get you. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was really sick one time and like they drove me to like the emergency room at like 3 in the morning. So shout out to them for that.
And
Yeah.
then you didn't have to pay like $5,000 for an
I
ambulance.
know. It was really great. I was like, thanks, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's another good point about MICA being a small school is that they can do things like that to cater to and help the students. Like personally driving one student to the emergency room isn't going to like have everything fall apart because there's so many other students to care for. So yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh,
then the next question, how necessary do you guys think owning a car is in Micah? Can you get around okay with just public transport? Um, and I'll answer that real quick. I think me personally, I would love a car, but that's like my own, it's my own thing. I think there is public transit. There's a light rail that's super near school that kind of goes can like, take it up to a park. You can take it kind of more downtown, take it to the airport. There's also not even like MICA. Like I'm from the West Coast, and there's not a lot of like trains and that kind of thing on the West Coast. One of my favorite things coming here was like just the East Coast, the fact that there's trains. You can like go, like to DC for like what, like $15. You can go like to New York, to Rhode Island. You can take trains and all that. But yeah, I think between shuttles, public transit, and also like inevitably, I feel like you'll have friends who have cars and like carpooling. I think a car is not needed. It is not a necessity. I think cars are nice, but it is not a
Yeah,
necessity.
absolutely not. I only have mine because my car is basically my emotional support animal. Like I'm one of those people that has a bunch of stickers and like decorates the inside of their car. Like that's just me. You can
Yeah.
definitely get around just fine with that one.
Micah also has parking lots specifically that are kind of gated if you're worried about like leaving your car at night somewhere. So you have to get registered for it, but yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Um,
Before we continue with the rest of our, or sorry, Dhanviee.
No, I was just gonna say like I take the bus everywhere. It's yeah, you can the purple circulator is free and the stop is at Penn Station, which is like a 10-minute walk from like the main campus. So you just have to like walk a little bit and you have access to the major bus stop, which is like all the bus routes. And the Penn Station is right there, so you can also take the MARC train to Washington to DC and yeah, it's super convenient.
Yeah. I think before we move on to more
Okay.
questions, we should do Sen's photo.
Okay. Yeah, we all had little photos to show off how our time at MICA has been. So this is mine. This is me and my two freshman year roommates. Um, this t photo was taken perhaps at like 3, 4 a.m. This was when we were all like trying to get work done, the classic college scene of like you're pulling an all-nighter with your friends and like trying to study or like get your work done. But you're all just really delirious and you're like, oh God, we still have more work to do. It's just that kind of thing. You can see because it's the picture of our like dorm. You can see we lived in Lee Hall. We actually lived right next to Dhanviee. Um, so you can kind of see like you literally get a full kitchen. Like we got a nice sink and full fridge in the back. Um, but yeah, those are my two roommates, Ashley and Sun. Yeah, and we're still good friends and good roommates to this day. I currently live with them. They're somewhere in this apartment. Yeah, I think we can move on to the rest of our amazing questions. So
Oh,
it says,
I think it's time to announce our special
Sure.
secret, top secret, super special guest.
Oh,
Who could it be?
wow. I wonder.
No
So our,
way.
my God. So our special guest for this Meet Micah is actually my roommate's son. There she is. Wow.
Sorry, I was like dying every time it came out on the screen. Special appearance.
But yeah, hi
Special
everyone.
appearance.
My name is Sun. I'm a GD major sophomore with a product design minor, and I'm currently Sen's roommate. Hello.
Wow.
Wow.
I
Um,
can hear your voice across the hall now, so I think I can tell where you are.
no, yeah, I
But
keep hearing your
yeah,
voice. Yeah, we're
Lamau.
like 10 feet away from each other, so this is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go ahead and talk about roommate situations, or do we want to do the Q&A?
I think it's your time to
Mm,
shine. Yeah.
Okay, it's
yeah,
my time.
go for it.
All right. So yeah, I can talk about like the beginning stages. So I think MICA students, when they're admitted, they get invited to like a Discord channel where you can like meet up with roommates, especially in the beginning. I mean, there's like some mixers that's like physical. But yeah, I met Sen through Discord. I read their bio and how they were talking about how much like Gremlin activities that they do. And I just reached out and was like, hey, like, did you find a roommate? And then once we got talking, you go into the official website of MICA and then you find each other, and then there's also like a form where you can write down your preferences for roommates, and so for that I think we also pretty much aligned. But um I think it's really good to voice out like what are your preferences, what are some things that are do's and don'ts when you're doing roommates. Like I feel like we were pretty good about that our first year, and also like who is bringing what to the rooms. Like I think Sen mentioned before, we lived in Leek, which was really nice apartment, by the way. I think it's one
Our
of the new.
living room was our living room was
It
way too
was so
big.
big. It
Someone
was,
asked about size earlier. It was like too big. It was so large.
yeah, this picture, it was like only the corner of the living room, and it was like 5 times bigger than, I don't know like how much you're seeing this photo,
Mhm.
um but yeah, when we met, it was a pretty okay affair. I don't know about that. There's not much to say about when we met, but it was more so like, hey guys, like, hey, let's eat dinner together. And I think we just got closer while like going out and eating or like
Mhm.
having similar classes. Like we had forum together. And so yeah, I think overall the experience was pretty smooth. I was pretty nervous about meeting the roommates, but then, like we're all Korean American, and so I think through that it definitely was like, okay, we're gonna get close. Like it felt very natural to me.
Mhm. The
Um,
Korean solidarity really helped us
for
out.
sure. It was from up on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, any questions about that, I would love to answer them.
Yeah. All right. Otherwise, I think now is definitely the best time to move on to the other questions that we've been receiving. Um, I think I think it might be best to go in order. So the next on the list is how is medical services around MICA? Do you guys have any like personal experiences? Because I haven't reached out to the health center very much.
Um, I also actually do not have a lot of personal stuff with MICA Medical Services. I know that there is like MICA insurance. And there's MICA counseling and MICA support groups. And I think they're also really good at like connecting you to people. Like if you're looking for like a diagnosis or looking for like healthcare or certain things, they're really good at kind of connecting you with people who can maybe handle that on I don't know, a different scale than like a school counselor might be able to provide. And so I know that they're pretty good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I recently had a situation where I injured my back really, really, really badly. And I went to the health center and they examined, like, it's obviously not specific professionals like helping you with like specific things, but they can kind of help you figure out what's going on and what's like, if it's like a bigger issue, and if they can't like directly solve it, they can like figure out at least what's going on and then refer to someone off campus that accepts your insurance, so that it's not like a hefty price you have to pay, it just gets mostly covered. So yeah, and they gave me a shot of painkillers and I was paranoid the whole week, but then it got better. Like that's just what painkillers do. But yeah, they can connect you to people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
they
the next,
essentially act as, oh, sorry. You can
no,
go
go
ahead.
for it.
I was just gonna say they essentially act as like your standard American primary care like doctor. Yeah, I went to them when I had the worst coughing fit ever, and like I felt like I couldn't breathe, and they're just like, okay, so here's cough suppressants. Like if it doesn't get better, come back, like that kind of thing. So yeah, they're helpful and they're free as long as you are insured, which is nice.
Yeah. Um, and then before we go on the Q&A, I think there's another question wanted to read, don't miss, which was where are we expected to do where are we expected to do bigger traditional slash physical art projects? Like, do you do them in dorms or are there studio areas? I'd love to answer this question because I do work large. I love working large. I think it's not usually typically like required. I know some like life drawing, like drawing classes will have you kind of work somewhat large for those kinds of assignments. So in all of the dorms, at least in the freshman dorms, like in Founders Green, they have these kind of like big kind of like cork board things almost you can like paint on and draw on and like all those kinds of things. And they like paint over it at the end of the semester. There's also studios. So there's studios for freshmen, but you can also, I think, I'm not sure if you can as freshmen, but I know I currently have like a studio in one of the other dorms, Gateway, and they're so nice. Like I'm not just like saying that to say that, like they are genuinely like Gateway is like the I don't know if you guys have toured campus or not, but it's kind of like the massive glass round building, and so you're kind of like up and there's like glass windows and like they're big and like you can have spaces. A lot of MICA is kind of like if you like ask for things and communicate, chances are you can like work something out. Like with even with classroom stuff, if you have work you want to leave up. Like I literally did this earlier today. Like I had work I left up and you can check to see like when classes are scheduled. And I like literally put a thing up and I was like, hey, if you guys need me to move this before this day, like email me kind of deal and like getting studio spaces. So they are there. It's just kind of like you have to sign up for them and those kinds of things, but people want you to succeed and they want you to have the space. And so it just really depends on like, advocating for yourself. You're definitely going to be able to figure out spaces and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know if
there's
you guys have something to add to that.
yeah, those are the residential studios, and then you can just work in empty classrooms. You don't even have to ask for permission or sign up for those. And once you're a junior, you get a studio space, and junior, senior, you have a studio space to work in, according to your major. So if you're for say a general fine arts or a painting major, you get a whole cubicle to yourself, which is in Lazarus. It's a really nice space. It's like a community, and there's just different cubicles, and you get your own space. But that's junior year onwards. But before that, you have the residential studios and just classes you can work in.
And a lot of different studios will have lockers too. Like I'm a photo miner and I have a photo locker that I keep a lot of my stuff in and like a majority of I think classrooms have kind of like lockers you can sign up for if you don't like cart your stuff back and forth all the time for studio classes. Um, do you guys have anything
Yeah.
else to add to that or should we move on?
All my work is done on computers, so I don't really have like studio experience or anything.
I mean, for
I think
the residential
Mhm.
studios, I don't think a lot of people know about it, but there's like one next to Glace, like in the basement area. But basically, you like check the QR code and then you can like set up a request to like rent out the room basically. And then at least like last semester I had an exhibition that I was working on and I just went to main building a lot. And then that building stays open until I want to say 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. And so when you work in those classrooms, you can just like leave your stuff with like a post-it note or something if you don't want someone touching your stuff. But yeah, I would say that a lot of room is available for that kind of stuff, so there's no need to worry where to work on things there.
Yeah, and like I said too, like if you have specific kind of like requirements, if you just like talk to people, your academic advisor, your like teachers, they want to like help you with those kinds of things. Yeah. I think next question, I don't know if you guys have an answer for this, but how good are food choices for vegan or vegetarian folks?
Um, I'm not either, but I don't I I did grow up like in like my parents don't cook um like meat at home, so at home we always had like vegetarian food. I will say that like we have both of our like we have three dining spaces. Two of them, one is buffet style, and the other one is you get something like you can make your own order or like make your own sandwich. So the buffet style, you always have a vegan and vegetarian option. And there's always rice, there's always like those staple things, there's always veggie pizza. So there's always vegetarian options. And if we're talking about the other one, which is like you can make your own sandwich, and that's more of a cafe style, that's Cafe Doris. You can also get a sandwich there, like with like whatever you choose to get. So they have gluten-free bread, they have vegan nuggets, vegan chicken nuggets. So yeah, you can make that for your like customize that howsoever you want to. And um even in our buffet style dining area, they have like a cabinet of obviously you if you can't have food with gluten and dairy, they have a little cabinet for like brownies, which are gluten-free and
Yeah.
dairy-free.
They also have shuttles, I think once a week or twice a week for both H Mart and Target. So if you like want to go do grocery shopping, you don't have like a car and like public transport for whatever reason isn't working out, there are those shuttles you can take, which are really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think we can move on to the next question. I also personally don't have too much experience with this. It says, how good are accommodations for queer students and mental health accommodations in MICA? All I do know is that the, what's it called? Like the 504 plan? Like the, like those are supported by MICA. There is gender affirming care at MICA. I'm not sure too much the details on that, but we do have those things. My knowledge on this is like incredibly vague, which is why my answer sounds incredibly vague. But if you guys have any like further input.
Yeah, I think I can touch on that a little bit. Um, I think first of all, it's like really I think what's the word I'm looking for? Openly like addressing it. Like I will say like the majority of MICA students are queer in some way, and I think that's something that's really excellent about being here as like a queer person myself, just like being surrounded by that. And so I'd say um I don't know if that answers the question at all, but like it's a very queer student population. And so I think if you're asking about like for accommodations, like for dorm, I know you can kind of like again, you can like choose your own roommate and find your own roommate and like stuff like that. It's pretty open, like gender wise. I don't think, you know, you need to like I like early this semester I was rooming with like a boy like and a girl, and it was like okay, like Micah isn't super kind of
Yeah, there's no
um
like MICA down
yeah,
restrictions on
like
that. It's just like if
strict.
you only want to have
Yeah.
those kinds of preferences.
And then mental health accommodations, yeah, we have like a kind of like accessibility like a service center where I think you can kind of you can work out kind of what you need and the school will work with you on that. And like I said, like the school wants you to be here and they want to like set you up to succeed. And so I think again it just kind of goes with like communicating and like talking about it and I think needs across the board generally get met more or less.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I also haven't run into, or oh, you can go ahead, Dhanviee.
No, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying
It
that
is-
like even if you have a medical emergency, sometimes if you just talk to your professors, they won't even count that as an absence. And they would just be like, okay, you really do need that, and we can just waive that off for you. So I think having like a good communication with your professors, and also if you feel like you're someone who might need like more accommodations and you have to be constantly, talking to someone about that, then our student development center, especially one of the people there, Eliza, she's super amazing and super friendly. And you can just email her and she'll always just be like advocate for your accommodations. If like there might be like an odd situation of someone not understanding you. So they can advocate for you in those situations for your accommodations or for holidays. And yeah, if MICA counseling is always there, they can't do like full-blown like diagnosis and stuff like that, but they can always refer you to resources that can get that for you.
Yeah, I think I know specifically for like I think the what's the word called? Support group stuff. There's like ADHD, anxiety, like autism maybe, or like being on the spectrum. And I think also I think it's like adjusting to college life. And so we have like a variety of support groups as well. Um, yeah, and gender inclusive housing. And then looking at other stuff. Um,
Great. Do you guys feel like you have a good school work life balance at MICA?
I think
I feel
okay,
like, yeah,
you
I
go
feel
for
like it
it.
definitely depends on like how you set yourself up for that. College is definitely a time where because you have so much like agency over what you do with your day versus like grade school, you're like, okay, this class now, 8 hours a day all the time. Um, you get a lot more like practice kind of picking out schedules for yourself and stuff like that. Me personally, I will say that I probably don't, but that is because I have overloaded my class credits. I have like projects I'm working on outside of school and outside of classes just for myself. And I also work this lovely job here at admissions. And I also like have hobbies that I want to keep up on. Like I'm part of MICA's dance club, which I make time to go to that every week and like teach some classes. So for me, I don't have a lot of, I mean, I guess some of those things you can consider like life balance or like stuff like that. But in terms of like free time where I'm truly doing nothing, I have very little of that. But that's like kind of, I did this to myself kind of thing.
Yeah, I think again, I feel like this, like I think college and like what college is, I feel like transitionally like in people's life, like it's kind of like the space where you I think start to figure out how to balance that stuff, more outside of like high school, when it's kind of like you are living by yourself and trying to figure it out. And so I'd say it's again, like you figure it out, as you go. I don't think anyone has it perfect. One thing that I think is really nice that a lot of my friends do and I do as well is that you can configure your schedule so that you only have like 4 days of classes. So like I have Fridays off because I'll just take like a double class. Right now I think my double class is like Tuesday. And so I'll have Fridays free, and so it kind of gives me this extra day. And I think everyone figures it out, but I will say I want to talk about this. You guys didn't ask, but I think it's fun to talk about. It's like I love going out. I love dancing. I love doing all of that and talking about that. Michael, there's a lot of fun places to go around here. Like there's Auto Bar, which does shows. There's like Rams Head Live, especially for if people want to go dancing who are under 21. Like I'm still under 21. And there's a lot of like 18 plus shows and all ages shows. Um, and stuff like that. So I feel like if that's something you're interested in, there is stuff like that um really close to Micah that you can go out to. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Um, I would also say like having a choose your doubles wisely. Though I have a drawing and a painting double, not don't do that. But I had to do it because I wanted my Friday off. But also, I also have two jobs on campus. So I would say really cut down things that you don't like, that you won't participate in. Like freshman year, I was like, I like this club, I like that club, I'll show up to every club. No, you won't. So like be careful for what you sign up for, be honest to yourself, to what you really care about, and only get involved in things you do really care about.
should we talk about club? I think it's like one of the next questions in the
Yeah, the
chat.
next question asks, okay, so specifically, yes, there is a D&D club at MICA. I haven't like joined them for anything, but I know it exists. And I know some people in it and they're like really nice, cool people. Um, in terms of language specific study clubs, I'm not sure, but one really nice thing about MICA is it's very easy for students to like form clubs around like random, even niche interests that they have. We have like our radio club that Dhanvii's in, me and my friends and roommates, we all made MICA's K-pop club last year. So like there's a lot of student organizations and a lot of things that you can get involved in, but of course, like Dhanvii said, like manage your time wisely with that.
If you
So yeah,
guys do come, you should keep your Wednesdays open and come to Quilt Club because Quilt Club is the best club and is brilliant. Um, More people should join. Um, that's clubs. Um, should we talk about maybe how easy it is to get the courses that we're looking for, like signing up for classes? I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that one.
I could start with that. I'm sure there's like a lot of people interested in graphic design. It's one of the more popular majors, like graphic design, animation, illustration. Um, Freshman year, they like kind of separate you into groups, like time slots, so that not everyone's on the site at the same time and it crashes. And so my second semester, while scheduling for like my sophomore year, I believe, like I was in the later time slot. So it's definitely not hard to get the courses that you want, but the more popular your major is, there's definitely a lot more competition. And so I think one rule of thumb or like one advice is like make sure you plan ahead of your schedules, which is something that you can do on the site. So before you like enroll and like the time slots are open, you can kind of research your professors. Like, I don't know, I look at Rate My Professor. Um, the accuracy, I would say it's pretty accurate. So looking at that, and then also you can talk to your like academic advisor about that. You can always ask like on the MICA app like maybe the upperclassmen, like how they felt about those classes, and people are more than willing to answer those questions. But yeah, kind of planning ahead, and then once the time slot or the time hits, like doing that immediately at the time slot so you get those classes. But honestly, even if you don't get the course that you want, it's really easy to get it like the next semester. I feel that there shouldn't be that like too much stress over that. So
Mhm. I think an important point with that, though, is the size of your department, and specifically the size of the department you want to take your classes in, because of course we have electives and everything. Game design is a very small major, so often, like, even if we need a class, it won't be run the semester that you need it. So it's just an extra added element of like planning ahead, seeing your it sounds kind of intense, but like I planned out my entire 4 years of college, basically the first semester of my freshman year, because I knew like, okay, it might be hard to get into some of these classes. Let me figure that out now. And it has been
Crazy.
going. I have like a spreadsheet that looks like the Matrix with like 17,000 different like I
I
could show
know
it to you
someone
guys.
else who did it, but you guys are
Yeah.
super passionate and ambitious. I respect that.
Yeah, mad respect, actually. I wish I had that. Yeah, mad respect
Mhm.
for that.
But yeah. And there have been cases where like sometimes a class that you want to take gets canceled because of low enrollment. But in my experience, that doesn't happen too often. Most recently, one of my 3D animation classes got canceled, but they give you notice, and because they know like, oh, you might have needed this class or like it affects your schedule, they do a lot of work to like support you. Like, here's other classes you can take, here's equivalent classes, stuff like that. So yeah, the most important thing is definitely like plan ahead and show up to your appointment on time. I say that, but it's like I say show up, but it's just digital. Like press the button as soon as you can. Load up your cart, and then the moment the clock strikes, press the button. So yeah,
Yeah.
I that's also not like a MICA specific experience. I'm sure you guys have heard from like the thousands of other colleges, like that season you have to be really on top of your game. But yeah.
also, if you happen to not get the course that you want, one really good thing about MICA, because we're like pretty small and accommodating, you can actually email the professor or the course that you're interested in. And most of the time, as long as you email them early on, they will accept you into their class, even if it's like at the max level of students. I've done that
No,
once.
Yeah.
I have a friend who
One
just
of my
showed up to a class and was like, "Hi," and they were like,
was it Zoe?
"Okay."
Was it
Fair.
Zoe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say like one of me and Leo's mutual friends, she literally just showed up to one of our classes and was like, "Hey, so I didn't get the registration, but I would really like to join the class." And she joined the class.
You did.
So yeah.
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 Um, my registration this semester was so easy. I had people left and right tell me I didn't get this class, I didn't get that class, and I was like, I'm getting every class. It really just
No,
depends
yeah.
on
I
your requirements and the level of classes you're taking. So it can also be if you're taking a class that mostly freshmen take and you're a sophomore, you will just get it because it's like you're a sophomore, so you have an upper hand on that. And also if you're a sophomore taking a required class that after sophomore year you won't be able to take it, so you also get an upper hand on that and you will get the class. So the classes that you have to get to graduate, don't worry, you will get those.
Should we talk about, I feel like FYE classes, like first year experience classes, probably makes
yeah.
sense to briefly address. I think I don't I have
Yeah.
thoughts about that.
Yeah, and that's like the FYE system is very different from the rest of your time at MICA. So yeah, we should definitely talk. Did you have anything like specific you wanted to cover, Leo?
Yeah, I think because I don't know, I have a lot of thoughts on this. So I think across the board at the majority of like visual art schools, you're gonna have like a foundation year. And the point of a foundation year is that you have people from like all different like sets of skills and different specialties and whatever. And so it's I think difficult for all schools. So the foundation year is trying to get everyone at the same level. So there's gonna be some classes that are required that you're like, I know how to do this. There's gonna be some classes you're required to take that's like it's all new. And I think some of that, at least for me coming in, some of that was frustrating because I had to relearn it. But like what I learned from talking to friends who are also going to other visual art schools, that across the board, that's kind of how just foundation years are. And kind of as the, now I'm a sophomore, I'm starting taking like level 2 class and all these things, and they're kind of getting more, personal directions and black and white too. And you're learning, more. But so foundation year classes, there's kind of required, and they kind of change a little bit every year, but there's kind of like a required, I think there's like a color class, right? But you could kind of choose to go, and Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can kind of choose to go more of like a traditional route, kind of like with paint, and there's kind of more like digital route you can go with it. And there's kind of, it's like that for classes, but you're definitely going to get into like the FYE classes that you want to pretty much because there's a lot of them. And then freshman year, you also have forum, which is kind of like a same group the entire year, and you kind of, it's like your core class, and you can kind of do whatever the projects are more open in that class. And then I think you get, depending, you can get like 1 or 2 elective your freshman year that you can kind of choose to do in like whatever area you want to.
There's one for your freshman year that's like built into your plan that you need to like move on to sophomore year, and then kind of just because of the nature of your freshman year, like the workload is maybe lighter than some of your other classes that where the specifications are much harsher. So you might be able to take like another elective class on top of your regular course load, which is something I did. Um, but yeah, it's all dependent on how much like work you can handle and how much work you're willing to do and how much time you're willing to dedicate to your classes. I personally am probably just more on the insane side of that. So it definitely is like it it depends on you. And yeah, I one thing for FYE that I wanted to mention is like Leah mentioned there's like a digital and a traditional color class. There's not too much restriction with like what mediums you use in your classes, at least in my experience. So it's not like, oh, because you're in this class, you have to use this program, this medium, whatever. It's very open to like your own already existing art making process and like what you already do. You can either kind of hone that in and enhance that, or you can like kind of branch off in whatever direction you want to explore and be very experimental your first year, which is something that I find really nice about our foundation year. I'm not sure how it is at other schools, of course, but just in general, I think that system is pretty nice.
Yeah, I think one of like the biggest pieces of advice I could give to someone coming to art school is that, foundation, you're gonna have kind of like assignments and projects that seem pretty like closed, but like honestly, like 9 out of 10 times, if you go to that teacher and you're like, here's my idea for a project that kind of loosely fits that but goes in this other direction, again, they just want to see you excited about the work that you're creating. And I hear like a lot of people kind of get frustrated, like, oh, this assignment, it's too small or whatever. And it's like, if you like go and you talk about like that's just I think just the across the board experience. If you go and you talk about it, like chances are like your teacher's gonna be like, yeah, like they're excited that you are excited. And I will say one shortcut for freshman year that I kind of wish I knew more, but I did kind of get a little bit is that you can actually test out or like portfolio your way out of certain classes. So freshman year, you have like drawing 1 and drawing 2 required. And if you submit a portfolio, you can kind of get like accelerated and boosted. Like I was able to skip drawing 1, which was super nice. And like, you can also have that like for painting. I think some other classes as well. But that's like, again, it's one of those things like if you advocate for yourself and you put that out there, like the school tends to be super receptive about that.
Yeah. I would also say I I did not have the best fine arts class in my school. So coming here like the first year program was kind of nice for me because I did get to learn all those skills. I would also say it's very easy to just be like, I know this, why am I doing this? But just like I would say because being an artist is so much of like just gaining skills because you never know what you end up doing or like every skill can come handy. You just never know. So I would just say just take it as it is and just be like I'm learning this skill because it's a skill. So just it's like another skill on your roster. And the first year also is really nice in the sense that it helps build a community in the sense that, oh, for say you're a painter and you would never really see the work of an installation artist, but when you're working with like a diverse group of people, you get to see the works of other people that you usually would not have seen. And then you can be like, oh, I can still collaborate with them because I think they're cool. And you can just end up being friends from there and just, work on things together that you would have never ever done before.
Yeah, we derailed a little bit, but I hopefully that answers the question of how easy it is to get classes. Um, I don't know. This was a nice conversation still. The next question we had on our list was how, from like how we talk, it sounds like honor system is a big thing. Uh, I'm assuming you mean honor system as in like just like trusting each other and like, oh, you put a sign on this that says, hey, if you need this move, contact me, and you'll get contacted rather than it just being like shoved out. Um, I definitely think there's a good amount of that here because this is a college. Obviously, you're like treated as an adult and you're expected to like just kind of be able to conduct yourself respectfully. So I think that plays into how the honor system kind of runs certain things. There's not too much like MICA top-down restrictions on certain things, but yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. You guys have
Yeah, I
any
think
more input?
yeah, again, I think it's also when you talk about having a small school, there being pros and cons. I think it's a pro, like honor system wise. You'll see, you have like security, like cameras places. It's like um it's I'd say like, people I think are generally kind, Like I feel like it's just kind of one of those things that like I've never had anything really like stolen or taken. Um yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like if you most of the time if you like lose something or if you find something that's lost, you just take it to the nearest campus security desk and then like, if you lose something, then you go to a campus security desk like, hey, did someone find this? Um, but yeah, a lot of stuff like that. I would say most people here are pretty like good intention. Like there's not a lot of evilness going on, you know.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Do we have any more input on this, or should we move on to our next question?
We
I
can
think
probably move on.
yeah, we have
All
one
right.
last question, um, which I can answer. Okay, it's how is Micah on gathering art supplies? So I think um a lot, and again, this is I think really across the board with a lot of schools, you have to supply a lot of your own stuff. But that being said, there's also like I think all Micah students get like full access like the Adobe Suite kind of stuff. So that includes like Lightroom, Photoshop, Premiere, like all of these kind of crazy editing stuff. So you get that as part of Micah. And there's also for each department, there's like a crib, which kind of works like a library checkout system. Like I know for like I'm just for photo because I know photo. There's like you can like check out, all the stuff you need to develop film, like all the developer, like the canisters, the reels, like they supply all of that for you. If the enlargers, they have the enlargers, you have like a grain focus or whatever. But like, you would need to buy your own film, right? And if you're printing on paper, you'd have to buy your own paper and stuff like that. And again, like teachers, like they want to help you. Like I had a teacher today who he's clearing out his studio and he literally brought me like stretcher bars, like for free. He's like, "Does he stretcher bars?" And I was like, "Yes." And so I think it's kind of a balance. And it's also thinking about like I know people who will like I'll buy paper sometimes with a friend and we'll split it to like help with cost and like there's ways around things like that. Um and what was I gonna say? There's also swap shops on campus that kind of people sometimes like leave behind like yarn or like other things like that. And so you definitely need your own supplies, but usually at the beginning of the semester with a studio class, a teacher will give out a list of supplies needed. And then I think there's also actually you can apply for, I think, like financial aid with getting supplies from classes, but I'm not exactly sure on exactly how that works. But I know it does exist, I think.
Yeah, I've done that. So basically all you need to do is when you realize you're like um writing all like you're making your little supply list before going to the store and you're like, oh, this just keeps adding up. You can send that list to like the financial aid office and apply for Angel Fund grant. And once you have that, don't I have done this mistake. I like bought the supplies and then I was like, look at all these receipts. So much. How do I pay for this? And they were like, you should have sent this before you bought this. So before you buy the things and if you think the costs are too much, send them the receipt, send them your financial situation, and they will give you like a grant for the MICA store. And even if those things aren't available at the MICA store, they can order those things for you. So you can usually have all of your supplies covered that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, also on the digital front, it's not just Adobe that's offered to you. We also get a lot of like industry standard programs. We get Autodesk for free. So that's like Maya, 3ds Max, um, whatever else they have, that's all I use. You get like Unity for free, Unreal's free. Uh, for game design at least, some of our homework is literally just playing video games, and we have a computer there that has all the games that we would need to play for homework. It's always lovely telling my mom I have to play a video game for homework.
That's so
Um,
funny.
I remember giving a tour, and then I think I met the game design department head, and I was like, "Oh, this is where they play games," and she was like, "No, this is where we critique games." I'm like, "Sorry, my bad."
you
That's
got to
fine.
play them to critique them. I don't know. So, um, but yeah, it's uh really quick. Unfortunately, Hades is probably not going to ever be assigned for homework.
Oh, I was
Uh,
like, what is I was like, what?
very
Sorry.
sorry. I wish it was homework, but um, yeah, just in general, Micah's pretty good with like supplying the things that you need one way or another. So yeah, all right. We are so close to running out of time. Oh my God, the hour flew by.
First podcast?
Podcast.
Um, yes,
Yeah, we're
podcast.
just a podcast.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting the poll answers of what you guys want to talk about next time. Um,
Campus size is pretty small. We have like 12 buildings, population under 2,000, pretty diverse. There's a very wide, we're like, I don't know, I'm trying to speed run that. Pretty
oh, I
diverse.
see West Coast.
Rapid
West
firing.
Coast. Um, it does not get that too, it doesn't get too cold here. I don't know where you're from, West Coast. You're from California, it gets cold. If you're from Seattle or Oregon, you already know it's like it's the same thing. Like it's very, I think you get all 4 seasons here, if I'm not mistaken, which is nice, kind of. Which you don't get certain places.
And we also get like all 4 seasons where I'm from, and it's so annoying when people come up to me and are like, "Does it get cold in India?" I'm like, "Don't ask me that question. Google it."
Google, use Google.
Yeah, stop asking us. Just kidding. These are really good questions. Like, um, but yeah, if we like don't end up speedrunning anything, we can probably reach out in some other way to answer them more properly, or
Be
I
here
don't know,
next
just
week.
come again. Yeah,
They'll
it's
be here
not
next
limited to
week.
just once.
Yeah, with maybe even with another surprise amazing guest. So,
Hmm.
um, you guys should come back to even more um
Yeah.
surprise
Oh,
guest.
job placement for MICA students. There, we have a MAT program, which gives you like an accelerated master's degree so that you can get your bachelor's in whatever art and then master's in teaching. And we have 100% job placement with that. However, if you don't want to teach, it kind of just depends on what you do throughout your undergrad degree. Our career development office is very prolific and lovely people, and they help you, find job opportunities, internships, grants that you can apply for, stuff like that.
Cool. I think that's
Cool.
time.
Yeah, time. I'm not sure about allergies. And oh, we do have a lot of companies. I don't know graphic design specifically, but a lot of companies do visit our campus looking for like students. or just like come by a network. We have a networking event called Practice in Pi, where you can like meet with these big employers like Bethesda, which is the big game company, is local to Maryland, so they come by every year. But yeah, I think it's a good time to kind of wrap things up. Thank you everyone so much for coming. This is our first time doing this event, but I think it's still been a really good opportunity for us to like kind of get to know you guys more, and also for you guys to see more of MICA, not just from like whatever official MICA things they put up, but from us four. We're all just like normal students at MICA. So yeah,
And thank you, Sun, for being our special guest.
thank you, Sun.
Awesome to have you.
Thank you.